Yeah, so last time we had this one where we reversed the whole string, got a string, and then went from the length down to 1, and then just copied each piece and just putting it into another variable, copying one character at a time, and just reversing it. So that's how you would reverse anything. Now, the only trick with this one though is the words themselves we don't want reversed. The first word should stay the first word, but in reverse order. Then the second word should stay the second word, but in reverse order. So this whole sentence, it should stay hi, but swap, then should stay Jan with a full stop, and then swap. Should stay my, but swapped, and so forth. All right, who wants to give us an idea of how to do that? So we're sticking with the same one. We've still got this. We can even copy it, yeah. Let's put it there. So we're going to stick with that one. But how would I... Did anybody think of an idea? Just want some... even if you just give us some hints. What about this? What about this? And we can go that route. All right, so do you agree we need to go through the whole string? That's our first step. We need to go through the whole thing. So whenever you need to go through the whole thing, through anything, and we're basically going to go character by character swapping with something else on, but then the idea there is, do you agree we're going through the whole thing? That means we'll need a for loop. Whenever you think you're going to go character by character through the whole thing, same as like an array, always go for loop. So we want to start at the first one, and we want to stop at the length of my sentence. So that sort of says, let's go through this whole thing for me. To start with the first character, go to the last one. All right, but now the trick here is we want to just, yes, ask me. All right, so we looping from 1 to the length. So now our next step would be to agree with just, when we start, we just want to reverse the first word. So that is our trick. We need to get the first word only. So we can even maybe have another string variable there. So I want to say when we're going through this, step 1 would be to get the first word. So who can help me with that? How can I get the first word out of here? Which function will I use? Yes, perfect. So we want to copy out of the sentence. We want to start at the first position. But now, how many characters do we want to copy? Or how do we know where to stop this copy now? All right, so how do I know? Where do I know it? Yes, so we can use pause. All right, and how does pause work? So in my, what we're looking for, so we're looking for a space within that. All right. So would this work good? Or what would go wrong here? Small technical mistake. Yes. So we just want to exclude the space. And then the trick with this one is, just see. Do you guys know delete or not? Is the okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to use delete. But just before I start with that one, so copy takes out of sentence. It's going to copy from the first position to this position. So we're copying that part and putting it into the Word. So do you agree? We've done that now. So that means we can actually now change our sentence. So now we can use that. You could use copy again, but now we can use the delete function to delete out of sentence, starting at the first position and then going to the position of the space inside sentence. So basically what I'm doing, I'm copying the first word and then deleting it from sentence. So now, because I've already got the first word there, my sentence should just be that now. Everybody with me? So, all right. With this one, question is, do we want to minus one or not? So when we're deleting, remember this loop will carry on. So if you leave the space in front and you find out where's the space, it will always get this space. So when we were copying, we wanted everything except the space. But when we're deleting, we want to delete the space also, because we don't want the space to stay behind. All right. So we're copying just the word, but then we're deleting the word and the space. So now we can swap this word. Now to swap the word, we could just do this again. Okay, but let's just redo it. So we've got the first word inside word. So we can just do our for loop, where our J for loop now starts at, remember we started at the back and then going down to 1. So now we start at the length of word. Because remember now we're just doing the word. So we start at the length of the word and then we're going down to the first position inside word. Alright, so and now we just want to swap that. So now it's the same as this. This one I'm just going to copy now. So what we want to do is our reverse should become whatever reverse was, plus we want to copy out of the word from position I, which is now position J, one character. So this will take from this word, it's going to take them one character at a time from the back, putting them into reverse. And that will now reverse the word for us. So we're using reverse on the right hand side, and you'll see we didn't initialize it yet. So I'm just going to copy this again. So we must remember this one also, we must just initialize our reverse. So after we reverse the word, what do we also need to do now before we can restart the loop? So Masishle, yeah, your question, why do we have to use the for loop? Are you asking the I for loop or the J for loop? So while Masishle is typing or thinking, if he was asking the J for loop, it's because we know the length of the word. Yes. And then Masishle's one is 100% correct. I just started the for loop just because we knew the length. So initially you would think, let's use the for loop. But as soon as we did this, I want to say some warning signs should shoot into your head, and I'm hoping that's what initialized the Masishle's one, because we're going to the length of sen for this for loop. But now we're changing the length of sen. So that would already tell you for loop's not good. Remember, our for loop is an unconditional loop. So it should be like a fixed amount of times. Now, ours, because we changed the length of the sentence, suddenly this doesn't become fixed anymore. So this is not a good thing. So we're going to change this to a while. So essentially 100% correct there. We shouldn't actually want to use a for loop, but I sort of just went through the thinking process that we need a loop because we wanted to go from the first character to the last character. So you think for loop. Then we start doing this. Once you start doing this, you should think, ish, 4 might not be the best route. So we'll go back to it. But let's carry on our thinking process. So we loop through each word, we reverse it. Now I want to know, after we reverse the word and put it into reverse, what do we need to do before we can go to the next word? Remember, we didn't copy the space, but we deleted the space. So we'll need to go and just add a space again, because our spaces are not otherwise going to make it one fixed thing. And then what we can do is we can maybe go at the end of this thing, and then let's just display our reverse. Let's see what happens. We know that for loop is now not right, but let's see what it does, just because. So if I say reverse, it's going to reverse the whole thing. That's the first one. Now this next one, you'll see hi. Just go up. There's the original. Then the full stop with the yan, and then the space, and then the my, then the space, and then name, and then the space, and then the is, and then the only problem is son with the full stop is missing. But so this worked decent. We just didn't get all of it. So not a bad try. So we're basically there. We need to know what's this thing. The only thing we need to do is let's just see why that happened. And the problem is the length of sentence decreases the whole time. So at a certain stage, our I will be more than the length of sentence. And that is our problem we've got. So because I will be 1 and we'll take the first whole word. Then I will be 2 taking the second whole word. And then I is 3 taking the next word. And then I is 4 there. And then there's still more than 4 left. So I is 5. And then it stops. So this I didn't actually go character by character. This didn't count characters. It copied word for word because we copied word for word, not character for character. So this for loop should actually be to the amount of words we've got. So if we added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you put a 6 there, which is not right, but let's just see. And then, okay, that's the whole swap. And then my name is, okay, the last one's still out. 7. Oh, you know what? Why the last one is out? Who can tell me why the last one is out? I just remembered now. Who can tell me why is our last word not showing? Yes, so we couldn't go to the copy of the space. So that will never work because there's never space at the end. So we've got choices with this now. You can cheat it, and it's not cheating. You'll get 100% for it. Why? Even if you do an input box, you can go. The sentence should be whatever the sentence is, plus, and then, so you can go and just put a space at the end. This would doesn't matter what the sentence is. It will always put a space at the end. And because the space is there, then it will work fine. So that's your one way. You can sort of cheat it. And I say cheating inside inverted commas because it's not actually cheating. This is fine. You can do that. If you work with spaces and you realize, there will never be a space at the end, just go and add a space to the end, and then this will work fine. So this is fine doing this, except the 6 is still a problem. We can't use 6 because what if the sentence changed? So what if this happened? Now suddenly 6 won't work anymore. So the 6 is not right, but adding a space to the end, that's fine. You can go do that if you want to, because it will always work. And that's sort of your trick. You should just imagine, if the sentence changed, would it still work? if your answer is yes, then it's fine. Then you can do it. So then it's not so much cheating. So doing that, not a bad option maybe. But then this for loop is a problem. So what we could have done, let's say we didn't want to do that inside inverted quotes cheat way. And we realize now 4 is not right because this is going to change every time. So if we don't want to use a for loop, which other loop can we use? And then some of you would hopefully, yes, we'd use a while. So now we just need to think. Begin and the end is there. All right, so now the only trick is, what condition can we have in the while? How long do we, how will we know when we reach the end? We can't say full stop because there could be another one. But remember, we're deleting every time. So do you agree we can actually go while our length of our sentence is greater than 0? Do you agree? While there's still something in sentence, we can carry on with this. And only stop when the length is 0. Let's see what this does. Oof, infinite loop. All right. So the reason for that is, again, our space. Remember, we removed the space out. So your option could be either put, for this one, you needed to say our sentence. We need to put that back again. For this one, you'll see now. Now, hi, Onke. We were wondering where you were. There you'll see. Works perfect. Okay, the only problem with this one, if you didn't want to do this cheat way, like I said, then we couldn't use the length of sen. But what we could have done is, while the position of the space inside sen is more than 0. That means if there's still a space, carry on. Let's see what this does. There you see. This will always work, but it will always exclude the last one. And because it always excludes the last one, what you can do is you just do the last one at the end. So we'll just need to copy that word again. So basically your whole swap part, this whole thing, you can just copy and paste on the outside to do it once more afterwards. So I'm giving you a variety of options. If this looks, so theoretically, if you look at this, it looks worse. And then it's fine. If you don't want to do this way, go and cheat it and just go add a space. What did I do wrong here? Wait. You know what? We can't remember now with this. When we copy to the end, we want to copy out of sense from 1, but then not to where the space is because there is no space. And then we don't care about deleting. Okay, let's see, reverse, and it works perfect. So remember with this last one, there is no space. That's the whole purpose why we put it on the outside. So this one, you just wanted to copy everything else that was left in Word, just reverse it and put it into reverse and then display. So this will always take the last word, and then this is for everything else. So this is one way of doing it if you don't want to adjust the original statement. If you want to just add the space, and then just use top one, that's fine. I just showed you that also works perfect. So whichever one, both will give you 100%. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, because it will always work, and that's sort of the trick behind it. What I do want you to take note of, if you just look at this answer, that's why I hate just giving answers. If I just gave this to you and you'd look at it and you think, there's no way I'll get this. It looks hectic. It looks crazy. What is happening here? And then you'll just think, all right, if I get this question, that's the one I'm going to skip. I'll just spend time on the rest. And it's not supposed to be that way. So let's see. So that's just getting the sentence. That could be a input box or whatever. Doesn't matter. We're using reverse, so we just needed to initialize. Then the first loop was just to say, how many times do we want to do this? And remember, I showed you two ways. We could have either used the length of the sentence, and if you did the cheat way by putting spaces in, you could have used the length. That would have worked fine. So either the length of the sentence, or in this case, we're checking if there's still a space left or not. So that's how many times we want to do this. So that's your while loop. And I think the while loop you could figure out. You could think, okay, I want to carry on until I reach the end, so the length of the sentence, or until there's no more spaces at the end, which is this one, position of space. Then you just need to copy the one word. So you copy out of the sentence from the first position to where the space is, but exclude the space. Then you just need to remove that word you just copied. And then we do our reverse that we did last time. So just a new for loop, going at the end of the word, going to the first character, copying each character and just putting it into reverse. Because we reversed the word, we just need to add the space back. And that will then happen the whole time. If you run it, sometimes you will run a display and you'll see everything works except the last occurrence. That happens quite a few times. Somebody actually, I can't remember who, sent me another question where they also asked you to work out like money that's paid. Now, his worked perfect, so that was fine. But sometimes when you do something like that, we had to maybe use loops to display how certain things happens. And then for some reason, the last occurrence just doesn't happen. Just see that it might be your loop. And trust me, having to do the inside stuff once more afterwards happens more often than you think. There's quite a few times that I just had to take the inner stuff, just put it on the outside, tweak it a bit to just get the last occurrence of something, add it to my display so that when I display I can see the last version as well. So this happens a lot. If your display looks perfect except last one is missing, just consider this, putting the outside stuff just after the inside stuff just afterwards once more, tweak it to work outside the loop, and then just display again. I'm not saying hard code it. Don't go and like put in the answer just yet now. But still using your methods that you did on the inside to calculate the display. And then this is fine. So see, I wanted these pieces of information I give you and use them wherever they apply. So if you do your redisplay.lines with add and you've got something and you say plus hash 13, that would take you to a new line. While if you had hashtag 9, that's like the tab key. So that's if you want to put stuff in like nice columns, neat columns. So you'll see it's A and then a tab and then B. So you'll see if you do this, because now, let's say you had a few things to display. A, B, B. So let's say you wanted to display them. Degree theoretically they won't be underneath each other. But because of the hash 9, see how they appear. you'll see they all start in line because of the tab. Those of you that know Word, that's basically how it works. So you'll see this one will always start in line with each other. And that's what the #9 does. It creates a nice like tab to just put them in order. And if you've got the #13, it goes to a new line. So theoretically, you could have gone #13 here and then put that piece in there. And then you'll see if you don't have this one, if you remember how it looked, if we run it now, it looks exactly the same. Because that goes to a new line and then it shows this. So I can put all of this in one line using #13 going to a new line and #9 going to a tab. Cool, perfect. So rounding off, you've got two options. That way that Pavan just showed. This is... No, go for it, yeah? Oh, so... Alright, so that one's technically wrong. But I'm going to explain to you now why. I'm going to explain exactly why. So for rounding, see the difference. I'm going to show you with Excel what's the difference. So let me just zoom in a bit here. So there's a difference in Excel. If I put, let's say 3,5 and I say 3,5 and I say 3,5 and let's put another 3,5 just because. If I add them together, what will my answer be? And you're 100% correct. All right. But now, so the one you just said using the string to float f. If you use that float to string f, if you use the float to string f, it basically does this. So now, if you add 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, what will my answer be? What is 4 fours added together? You're wrong. Not passing maths. It's 14. 4 fours added together. Isn't it 14? You see, that's... Yeah, you see, it's old maths. This is new maths. No, so the trick here, 4 fours is 16. We know that. But now, when you use that string to float f, that float to string f, what that does, it just formats it. So you'll see if I increase my decimal, it was actually 3.5s. I just formatted to look without the decimal. So it looks like that, but the original value is kept in the back. And that's what our float to string f also does. It just formats it to 2 decimal places, but it doesn't change the value. So it depends on the question. If the question asks you to round off the number, then the float to string f doesn't round it off. It just formats it. So it looks like it's rounded and the answer will look right, but it doesn't change the value. However, if they ask you to round it, you must round it because that actually changes the value. So you'll see like in Excel, you can also use a round function and we can round that thing to 0 decimal places, which is also 444. But now because this one I formatted, this one I rounded. So if I add this one together, what will my answer be? 16. And now if you look at this, you'll think, oh, what's happening here? It's the same formula. Both is sum, but this one is just formatted. So it kept the answer in the back, while this one is rounded. So the number changed so that when we add it. And that is our difference. So it depends on the question. If they just want you to display it rounded, then it's fine. If you use float to string F, perfect. If you use round, perfect. It doesn't matter which one. However, if they specifically ask you to round it, you have to round it. All right, then you've got two choices. So let me go. I'm going to use it in here. So let's say we had a number of that number. All right, let's say we've got a number gets the value of 22.34. All right, so what you can do is you can say the number should become, and then you can use the round function, the normal round. The trick is if you want it to two decimal places, you'll have to take your number and first times it by 100. First times it by 100. And then after the round is done, you have to divide it by 100. So we're basically moving the comma. We move this comma there, round it off, and then move the comma back again. So does this work? Yes, it works. Those of you that don't understand it 100%, don't worry too much about it. They did give, also as IT developed throughout the years, the first few years they said you must do this route. But then later on they said, no, it's fine. You can use the round 2 function. For round 2, you must add math on top. And then how the round 2 works is you can say now must get the value and then you call the round 2. And we want to round number off. And then you must just say how many decimal places. But if it's decimal, you have to say negative. So you want to round it to -2 places. And if you wanted one decimal, -1. If you wanted 3 decimals, -3. So that's sort of how it worked. If you went on and you wanted to do sort of like scientific notation, then you'll start using positive numbers. So this will round it to the nearest 10. So then our answer here would just be 2. 20. It rounds it to there. And that rounds to the nearest 100. So main thing, I never saw that question before. So just remember your negative. But saying -2 will round it to the second decimal place. So that does exactly the same as that, whichever you want to. All right, let me quickly run through it. So if you're creating a project and you want to do your own, what you do is you click on your radio group and you put it in. So you'll see the radio group starts empty. Now you don't go put radio buttons in there. You leave it like that. And then you go to the property called items. There's one of them called items. And in items, you write like everything. Let's say option 1, option 2, or let's say it's either TV or radio or car, whatever, I don't know what. So then you'll see those becomes your options. So the key thing to remember with the radio button group, the first option is position 0, and that's 1 and that's 2. 0, 1, 2. So the easiest way to work with it, what I generally do, because when I want to see like which one is selected, I don't necessarily want the whole word. If you want TV and radio and car, then it's fine. But you'll see sometimes these things, where's this items? It's like TV dash and then all random stuff, and then radio and dash, and then lots of things. Car and a dash, and then lots of stuff. So now the problem with this is if you extract the whole string, it becomes difficult because now in the if you maybe want to check if it's ticked. Now you have to type out all of that thing. Which is crazy. So you've got two options. So you can, what I like using is like, let's just do P. And then like P is for position. So then I'm just going to say P gets the value of my radio group 1. dot get wait, what did I tell you was the thing? Item index, yes. Dot item index. So now you'll see, let's just quickly do a show message. Yes, talk to me. So into string of p. So now you'll see, what did I do wrong? So, so -1 is if nothing is selected. But if I selected the first one, you'll see I get 0. If it's that one, it's a 1. If it's that one, it's a 2. So by doing this, you can now just go and just say if p is equal to 1, then say whatever. So 1, remember 1 is actually the second one, so it's the radio. Then you can say show message radio was selected, something like that. So I just did the one, but then you can have else ifs and whatever. So if that one is selected, you click this, it will say radio was selected. So I want to say item index is your easiest route. But obviously, if you do want that string, you don't want to go this route that I just showed you now. What you can also do is, let's just put that in comments. You can go your radio group dot items, and then in square brackets is your radio group dot item index. So what this basically does, this will tell it, show me the item at the position of the one that was selected. So if number 1 was selected, it's going to show me the name of number 1. Let me show you how this works. Yes, item index gives you the position of the one that was ticked. Yes. And then dot items shows you the one at that position. So you'll see, let's say I put a 0 there. Then it doesn't matter which one I click. If I click the first one, it's going to show me the first one because I set display 0. But even if I click the last one, it's still going to show me the first one because I just said show me the first one. So this shows you from that group the one at that position. But if you don't want it fixed, then you'll say, okay, show me the one at the position of the one that was selected. And then you get that. So this gives you a string then of that exact thing that's there. Float to string f is to just display it in a formatted way. So let's display this number, this one we've got up here. So let's use this memo. Why not? Because we're busy with this memo thing. Let's put memo in there. So let's say I wanted to display this number, but I don't want to show it exactly like it's there. But you agree this is a double. So I need to float to string it, but I want to format it as well. So then you add the F is for formatting. So now I want to format this one. So first thing is, which number do we want to? So we want this number num. And now is like, in which format do you want it? So you've got, when you go FF, it gives you the options. So you can either go number, generally you go either number or currency. If you go currency, it adds the R. So this is really nice actually. Then it will add, if it's rands, it adds the R to the front for you, which is cool. Then, no, I lost the other one. So I'm going to show you now what happened there. Let's quickly see. I'll tell you now what's happening with those last two numbers. Let's just see what this does. I think it's by parts. Ish. The problem was I didn't select anything. Let's try again. Oh, there, you can see. 22 rands, and then you'll see 00. Yes, so that's what we want to get to. Let me just quickly, I want to do this again. Um, so we want to do float to string f, and then you'll see there, it is, firstly, it's the variable, then it's your format, then you'll see it's your precision, and then the number of digits that you want. So let me just see, that must be full stop. Commas wrong, yeah. So if you go comma 9, comma 9, let me show you this. We have to select one of those. Now you'll see, we see all of those things. Because what it did now, it added, you'll see if you look at the decimals now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 decimals. So our 9 at the end tells us how many decimal places do you want. So if we go back to our 2, I think I swapped it around. Oh, come on, man. So I must remember to select something from here. Oh, no, I did it the right way. Then you'll see you've got 2 decimal places and you've got your 22. This 9 basically tells you how it's going to round it off for you. So generally with this one, you always wanted a big number. This one will be, if you want to play around with scientific notation, you'll make it smaller. So best way, if you want to use float to string f, it's the variable that you want to display. Then the type, if you, as you saw with now, it put numbers there for us. Okay, it put the R there, but if you go just number, now the R is missing. Now you'll see the R is missing, but it's still the same thing. So the important part to remember here is you say float to string f, formatted output, then it's your variable. Then what format do you want it? So you can go FF currency, adds the R, or just FF number. This number, always make it a big number. Make it 9, make it 16, whatever you want to. Give it a big number. And then this one is how many decimal places you want. You want 2 decimal places. If you want 1, you put 1 there. And then you'll see we will get 1 decimal place. So this, it displays it rounded, even though it doesn't round. This just formats, as I explained previously. Okay, what I did, I just added the edit box. On the bottom left, by properties, I clicked on the event side. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag down to the on enter. And just see. So now here, I'm going to double click here. So now it still gives you, it looks like we clicked on it. But now let's say here, show message. And I'm just going to say mouse over. Now, so listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to move my mouse now. I'm not clicking anything. I'm not going to click anything. I'm just moving my mouse. And as soon as I... all right. So I clicked it and then that happened. Wait, that's not what's supposed to happen. Oh, on enter. So when I entered the thing. Okay, never mind. So there should be another one. So if they ask you for something specifically, you could just click on the component they ask for, and then you go to the events, and then you can see there. So let's just see. I want the mouse enter. That's the one I was looking for. So now I'm going to put that mouse over there. I'm taking it out by the one where it was. So now just by the, in my mouse enter, I click this code. So let me show you again. So I'm going to move my mouse. I'm not clicking anything. I didn't click anything, but this happened by itself. So as soon as my mouse goes over that thing, it shows me that block. And I didn't click anything with my mouse. So that's also events. Maybe that's what he is meaning. I think that's what Sir meant with event handlers. So he could have a component. Generally, we don't use it a lot. But the question will be very straightforward. And this is really easy. Don't think, it's now more stuff. Night before, we lost. No, it's very easy. The code will literally be like this, where they'll just ask you to do something when the mouse goes over it or whatever. You literally go to the component, you go to your events, and you just look for the one. So mouse enter is a nice one. Um, what I like doing is actually on a button. You do the mouse enter, and then you move the button to a random location. So as soon as the person tries to click it, it jumps to another spot. And as soon as he goes to that button, it jumps to another spot. It's like a nice game trying to get somebody to click a button. Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. So, and you'll see that on click is when you double click on something. So that's events as well. That could be. So if you see a question that asks you, if you get to this component, as soon as the mouse goes over to something, just click on the component, go to events, go to mouse enter, double click there, or whatever, then that stuff will happen. Yeah.